Welcome back to the MOC course on corporate social responsibility. My name is Aradhana Malik and I'm helping you with this course. And in the previous lecture, we had started the discussion on the summary of codes prescribed for corporate social responsibility. We'll wind up that discussion in this lecture. So let's see what we have here for you. So we discussed some codes. The next code, again, I'm sorry, I forgot, I should have, okay. This is what we need to do here. Okay, this should also close. All right. So the next code that we will talk about is the Rio Declaration, the Earth Summit by the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, UNCED, that happened in 1992. Now, this is what we have here for you. They set up a sustainable development knowledge platform. And through this platform, you can get a lot of resources, a lot of information on how sustainable development can be taken care of by different organizations here. So, you can navigate this here. Okay. So, they have conferences, they have a whole bunch of tools here. They talk about sustainable development goals. So, you know, they have their resources, they talk about their partnerships, etc. So how you know this, and then again they have post 2005 process, they have a library of their publications and documents, and you can go through what they talk about. Okay. Now, according to the author, this addresses nations and states, but also addresses many of the issues outlined in the Global Compact. Weakness of this is that it does not address companies. The components that are included are the historical point in time when UNCD and environmental issues entered the mainstream. So, that historical point is very important. Technology had just started taking over the world by a storm, and environmental attention to environmental concerns was picking up speed. The comments here are there is a precautionary principle and pollutes pay principle, and these were defined by the Rio Declaration, and these are the key elements of many environmental standards. These apply to companies. Now, let me tell you what the precautionary principle is. Precautionary principle is that companies must take precautions in order to not pollute the environment that they are in. Pollutes pay principle, here this pollutes pay principle refers to the suggestion or guideline that any organization that pollutes the environment should take responsibility for it and should pay for it in cash or kind. So, these are the two principles, precautionary and pollutes pay. I have not given you the details so that you listen and you understand these. It is very simple if you think about it, it is extremely logical. You should not pollute the environment. If you pollute the environment, please pay for it, pay for the damages, compensate for the damage you have caused to the environment. Something very simple, okay? Then, and that really applies to the companies. The notes are that it provides an important basis for environmental principles in international law, enshrining many key concepts and definitions. It identifies the question, what is the role of states in promoting environment and development? So, that is about this. Now, next one here is the Seras Principles. Seras refers to the Coalition for Environmentally Responsible Economies. These came out of the Valdez Principles, which were proposed in 1989. They were a result of the Exxon Valdez disaster in Alaska. This is a UN based organization, and let me show you what this is all about. Okay. So, this is IISD's Business and Sustainable from IISD's Business and Sustainable Development, a global guide. IISD stands for International Institute for Sustainable Development. It is supported by the United Nations, Coalition for Environmentally Responsible Economies. Again, the principles are given here. Now, the 10 principles, I will just read them out here. Let me increase the size of this page here. Okay, you can actually go to this website and read the detail yourself. Let me just give you a brief overview. The first principle is protection of the biosphere, then sustainable use of natural resources, reduction and disposal of waste, wise use of energy, risk reduction. Risk means environmental risk to the environment. Marketing safe products and services, damage compensation, again pay for pollute principle. Disclosure, so you tell people what you are or the effects of your tell people about the which of your operations can cause injury or can cause harm or pose health or safety hazards for the for people in the environment. Environmental directors and managers, you need to have people looking after this exclusively, and assessment and audit, you open yourselves to some accountability standard. So very interesting here. So maybe you can read the detail if you are really interested. The themes are that it applies to a network of more than 80 environmental, investor and advocacy groups promoting sustainability. There is a network of more than 80 environmental, investor and advocacy groups promoting sustainability. The 10 principles covering major environmental concerns facing companies have already been read out to you. It encourages the ongoing dialogue with corporations. The weakness is that they are aspirational in nature and do require a two-way dialogue. If you see this, there is a, this requires a two-way dialogue as to how you will protect the biosphere. You can't just say, okay, protect the biosphere. Some discussion has to take place between the experts and the organizations to see what they can do. Then sustainable use of natural resources. Which natural resources? How would you, what would constitute as sustainable use? How are you going to reduce the waste and how are you going to dispose it off so it doesn't hurt the environment? Then wise use of energy. Okay. Risk reduction. So all of this requires a dialogue with the stakeholders and with the regulatory agencies. All right. Then the components included, it helped launch the Global Reporting Initiative. I'll tell you all about it. Amazing way to ensure accountability, to help organizations who want to ensure accountability but don't know how to. So we'll just see this in a little while. Comments are, the question that the author poses here is, what measures can companies take to promote sustainability of their products and operations? Yes, we are looking at the environment, but how do we ensure that our products and our operations are also, also contributes to sustainable or are also sustainable. The way we do things is also sustainable and is contributing to the sustainability of the environment. Okay. The next one here is the natural step. This was set up in 1992. Let us see what this is like. Natural step. They say we are a leading partner for organizations ready to address humanity's grand challenges to create a better future. We enable decision makers to manage complexity, define their position and seize opportunities for short and long term success. So they are since 1989 we have worked with thousands of corporations, municipalities, academic institutions and not-for-profit organizations that have proven that moving strategically towards sustainability leads to new opportunities, reduced costs and dramatically reduced ecological and social impacts. You can go through the framework here that they have set up and they have a whole bunch of resources that you can look at. So again, a very interesting initiative. So they have these 4 rules that that they think contribute to sustainability, success through sustainability, and these 4 rules are here. Okay. So in a sustainable society, nature is not subject to systematically increasing concentrations of substances from the earth's crust such as fossil carbon dioxide and heavy metals, concentrations of substances produced by society such as antibiotics or endocrine disruptors, degradation by physical means such as deforestation and draining of groundwater tables, and in that society there are no structural obstacles to people's health, influence, competence, impartiality and meaning. Now I would really like to give you an example of this particular part. This is something we've not really discussed, so I'll just give you an example. A very pertinent example that has been in the news for quite some time is the drastic drop in the populations of vultures, which are natural scavengers, as a result of them feeding on the carcasses of cattle that have consumed ibuprofen, which is a component that, or it's a medicine that is given to cattle, it's also consumed by humans to take care of or to help with inflammation. So we all take it. I'm not going to go into the brand name. The generic name is ibuprofen. Now when cattle consume, cattle are also given ibuprofen, and when they die, their carcasses are disposed of and vultures feed on them. Now vultures, again, in the ecological cycle, vultures have a very important role to play. However, the populations of vultures are decreasing because they feed on cattle and that have consumed ibuprofen, and that in turn damages their, I believe it damages their kidneys. So damages, it ends up killing them. So okay, so that is what is happening. It's a medicine, but the harmful effect is that it is harming the environment also. All right. So this is that. Then the author says that this applies to companies, communities and individuals worldwide. The components included are addresses the systematic causes of environmental problems, general enough in nature so that different sector organizations can adopt and make them their own. The comments are that it's difficult to build capacity and scale up activities, especially in developing countries. It complements many sustainability tools and resources, including ISO 14001. Okay. All right. Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative. So this, again, let's see what this is. Okay. Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, it's the global standard for good governance of oil, gas and mineral resources, resources that are obtained through extraction from the natural environment. So oil, gas and minerals that are extracted from the environment, that are that are taken, that are pulled out from the environment and then processed and used by us. Okay. So here are the details for this. Now this applies to companies that operate mining, oil and gas fields, and also can apply to supply chain companies upstream and downstream. The components that are included are they promote the use of systems and procedures that enable the transparent use of resources. Mineral rich countries report on revenue. The countries must define their own processes. Comments are that it does not address social issues, political issues or health issues. It just talks about the environmental issues. Okay. The next one is the Equator Principles Financial Institutions. We have talked about this also in a previous lecture. Let me show this to you again. Okay, here the Equator Principles are there. So all right. Currently 91 Equator Principles financial institutions in 37 countries have officially adopted the EP, covering over 70% of international project finance debt in emerging markets. Okay. So we have already talked about this, so I'm not going to go into very much detail regarding the website. This applies to the guidelines for financial institutions to provide a benchmark on social and environmental issues for project financing. Banks and insurance companies, export creditors and development agencies, NGOs, NGO involvement and reputation at risk has created critical mass of participation, one of the very few voluntary sector initiatives to be successful. The challenge is how to expand it into emerging markets, for example, China, Russia and India. The components included are this addresses project financing with capital costs over $10 million. The comments here are that it has achieved a critical mass. It achieved a critical mass when 70 financial institutions in 16 countries signed the principles, and now 17, I believe. It says 37 countries, not okay, so not 16 anymore. It is 37 countries. Social and environmental assessment required of borrowers and establishment of social and environmental management systems. The notes here that the author has put are Okay. What have I done? One second, sorry about this. The notes are that some believe that the EPFIs have financed projects which violate the principles, a lack of transparency, public relations is the only concern. Okay. The next one here on our list is the AA 1000 series foundation standard. Now it was I have started downloading this, but I believe it's not really downloaded. Let me see. No, it hasn't. Okay, sorry about this. So I mean it's not these are not really available on a website. However, you can go to this particular website and here you can Google this, and when you click on this, the AA 1000 Accountability Principle Standard 2000, you can actually see the document. So there are some images here. Okay, so you can actually go online and download it before you can read it. I'm sorry I didn't download it for you to see. So you can see these standards. All right. Now the theme, these apply to assurance standards for assurance providers to evaluate public disclosure about performance, established criteria for evaluation including systems, data and processes, quality assurance standards, organizational guidelines, qualification for assurance providers. Components included are, this can be used with the Global Reporting Initiative as well as with other standards or codes such as factory audits and labor standards. The comments that the author has made are that it has established CSR as a discipline, establishing professional qualifications, training and development methodologies. Again, you should be able to go through these different codes on your own and pick the one that suits you best. The author will, different people will look at these things from different angles. Notes that the author has made here are that these are accessible online at no cost. As more companies sign up, then CSR will increase. The challenge is to build capacity among assurance providers. Okay. The next one is the Global Reporting Initiative, and this is very interesting because finally there is a worldwide standard for how you can disclose your efforts. So they talk about how view the GRI standards here. So let's see what this has. Okay, tools to enhance your reporting, interactive training courses on how you can improve your global reporting, and okay, so you can actually go through this sustainability reporting standards, and then again it requires a lot of signing in and all. However, this is where you will find the details of these standards. Okay. Themes, it applies to, it sets a framework for all businesses, the GRI reporters. GRI mission is to evaluate the quality of reporting to a higher level of comparability, consistency and utility. Companies must meet certain criteria if they want their reports in accordance with the GRI guidelines. So it's becoming a world standard. People are, more and more organizations, more and more countries are following the standard because it's again, when we say it's a standard, it is accepted as a benchmark in how reporting should be done. Components included are Seras and the TELUS Institute convened the GRI. UNEP has also played a significant role. In the year 2000, the GRI launched the Sustainability Reporting Initiative reporting guidelines in 2002 as the G3 guidelines. The comments here are, the challenges include the need for more research to confirm the link between reporting and improved social and environmental performance. Reporting can be costly, large number of GRI indicators can be daunting, you can be confused with so many things to report on, lacks external verification. Most visionary of the CSR tools, but will take decades to become mainstream and may get outdated by then. That is one big concern people have. Sector supplements are available in finance, electric utilities and mining. In this tool, the notes are thousands of companies in 60 countries issue GRI reports. It defines reporting content, defines report quality, report boundary setting, options for reporting. The questions are, how can a company communicate with stakeholders? What are the issues a company should report? What are the boundaries of a company? These are some of the questions that the author of this paper has raised. So maybe you can look at it and you can comment. Okay, all right. The next one here is the ISO 14001 1996 to 2008. I think this is the last one on our list. Okay, ISO 14001, this is the one that is currently being used. Let's see what this is all about here. Environmental management systems, an easy to use checklist for small businesses. Okay, so the latest version came out in 2010. Okay, and this was proposed by the International Organization for Standardization and the International Trade Center in Geneva, Switzerland. Okay, so the principles are here. The checklist is also given here. I can scroll down, or you can see this on your own. So various things are given anyway. So maybe you can go through this and see what what the checklist contains. The themes or what this applies to is it's a family of standards to create environmental management systems, a useful framework to address environmental management systems. It does not focus on sustainability, it focuses rather on the management of the environment, through which sustainability can be achieved, which makes it so important. So it doesn't focus on sustainability per se, but the idea here is that if you really adhere to it, or if you follow the suggestions, sustainability will be implicit if you manage the environment appropriately. Okay, the components are used internally without external auditors. Certificates are issued compatible with a range of standards. Once a company has developed the management systems for the ISO 14001 certificate, it's easier to implement SA 8000 as well. So that's what I told you. You do if you manage your environment, sustainability will be implicit in that management. Some comments here are: attained a critical mass of global companies. Challenge is to find mechanisms for enhancing stakeholder participation in decision making. Companies must conduct environmental reviews, they must establish effective management systems, they must conduct environmental audits, they must prepare statements on environmental performance. The notes are: more than 13,000 standards exist in 145 countries. Now 13,000 standards, that's a lot, that's really mind boggling. Okay, it adopts a critical quality indicator approach. The question here is, how can a company develop management systems to address environmental issues? So that is the main question that the author poses. So this should have given you a very, very comprehensive overview of the different suggestions that different organizations all over the world have come up with to help businesses adopt sustainable practices and implement those sustainable practices, preferably through their corporate, and that is where the social responsibility and sustainability come together. So by helping the environment become sustainable, by contributing to sustainability, the organizations are also expressing their commitment to socially responsible behavior, and that is where these two converge. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I was mostly reading from this, but I wanted you to really see how the world is looking at different things and what all exists out there. This list is by no means comprehensive. So if you can come up with more codes and standards that are that exist in the world, let's discuss them on the forum. That would be very interesting. So I hope you've enjoyed this. This lecture. Again, this is pretty much, we are in the process of tying up module or week 7. There's one more tiny thing that I want to share with you before we wind up week 7. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Look forward to discussing more on CSR and sustainability with you in the next class. Thank you very much for listening.